What's up, everyone? Hope you're doing well today. It is Sunday, January 26th, at least for a few more minutes as we are creeping past midnight. But the 2020 edition of the Royal Rumble just ended, and we have quite a bit to talk about. But before we do that, my name is Raphael Garcia, and I am here for episode 43 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. Thank you for taking the time to join us. You can catch me at rgarcia_sports on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, you can catch MMA ratings at MMAratings.net on the World Wide Web and MMA ratings on YouTube. Also, MMA ratings net on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's where we post all of our content, such as this show, our weekly MMA podcast, and much, much more. So please be sure to check out all of our content whenever you can. Thank you for the continuing support. And once again, my name is Raphael Garcia, and this is episode 43 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. And we got quite a bit to rant and rave about from tonight's Royal Rumble. To be honest, this was a pretty good show. I feel some type of way about some of the booking aspects of it, and we'll talk about that throughout the show tonight. But overall, this was still this was a good Rumble, especially where the women were booked. The Rumbles were booked pretty interestingly. And yeah, we're really going to break that down. But let's start with the first match. The night opened with Roman Reigns and Baron Corbin in their Falls Count Anywhere match. And this was exactly where this match should have been. Excuse me. Because you knew this was going to be a walking brawl around the stadium, and it had the potential to suck the life out of the crowd. Not saying that the crowd was not into it; they had some good spots, but it just wasn't. This wasn't. If it would have followed either of the Rumbles, for example, it would have really drained the crowd. So I think that they put this in the right spot because, to be honest, other than Jimmy and Jay jumping into the fight when Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode got involved, there really isn't much to unpack from this match. I think it was Jimmy, one of them jumped off of the top of the scaffolding and almost killed himself, falling on the other three guys. So there was that moment. But really, what was there to take from this match? You knew Roman was going to win, and you knew it was going to play into the Rumble later on that night. But hopefully, this feud is over. Thankfully, we didn't get to see any dog food or anything like that. But I'm glad it's over, and I'm glad that they did this match first because no one gave a damn about this feud, and you can really see that because no one's really going to be talking about it now that it's over with. One thing they will be talking about, though, is this Women's Royal Rumble. And I don't care what anybody say, but the women consistently bring it anytime they are put in the Royal Rumble atmosphere here. This match was fantastic. I enjoyed it from start to finish. There was one spot I wasn't a fan of, but there's really a lot to talk about here. Charlotte Flair got the win. We're going to start there. There's a very interesting response. I'll get to that in a second. But everything from start to finish, I loved this match. So Alexa Bliss came out as number one. Pretty good pop. This is her second Royal Rumble. She missed the first one, I believe, because she was injured. And then out came number two, who was fucking Bianca Belair. And I'm sorry, I was hyped when she came out, just because they gave her that super push today because she eliminated 8 women, breaking the record, and actually is tied now by Shayna Baszler. But she went off. So we're going to talk about what Bianca Belair did. Who else came out? The full field of women in their entry order: Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, Molly Holly. She came out as Mighty Molly, which was a kind of playoff of the Hurricane. Who else? Nikki Cross, Lana, Mercedes Martinez, Liv Morgan, Mandy Rose, Candice LeRae, Sonya Deville, Kairi Sane, Mia Yim, Dana Brooke, Tamina, Dakota Kai, Chelsea Green, Charlotte Flair, Naomi, Beth Phoenix, Toni Storm, Kelly Kelly, Sarah Logan, Natalya, Xia Li, Zelina Vega, Shotzi Blackheart, Carmella, Tegan Knox, Santina Morella, and then Shayna Baszler. So there's really a lot to unpack there. We're going to go through some of the spots as they occurred in the Rumble. So obviously, as I said, Bliss and Bianca Belair was in 1 and 2. Lana comes out. She is talking basically as she walks to the ring. She calls herself a WWE superstar, completely forgetting the E in WWE. But she's actually the first one to get eliminated. She gets eliminated by Liv Morgan, and then Lana stays out and then causes Liv to get eliminated, and they both brawl until they get separated. I mean, what is this feud going to end up being? Because Liv and Lana aren't wrestlers per se. They aren't really known about their in-ring work. I will say that character development has been pretty interesting between these two, but this isn't the space that everyone really wants to see. Like, what is the end goal of this feud? Because right now it doesn't seem like too much. But they allow Lana to stay out there, cause a ruckus, and basically eliminate Liv, and they brawl a little bit before the referees separate them. I mean, it's like, what's the point? We'll see. Clearly, they'll probably be involved in Raw tomorrow, but I mean, I'm just like everyone else. I'm tired. I'm over this feud. Mercedes Martinez, she's out there. Let's see who else. Sonya. So I only kind of like highlighted like the big pieces. Did anyone else notice that Molly Harley looked really hurt? She looked like she was in bad shape. And I think it was on a bump she took, giving to maybe Alexa Bliss, I think it was. But she like she fell funny on a forward roll, and she just looked like she was kind of rattled pretty badly. But there was another interesting spot where Liv is eliminated, and she falls on top of Otis, landing on his stomach. And then she uses that to jump back inside. The crowd popped huge for that, and it was pretty funny. I'm not even going front. People on social media loved it as well. Yeah. So then after that, excuse me, after that, Sonya hit Mandy, which caused her to fly off the apron again. Otis caught her, and it looked like he was about to put her back on the apron so she would be safe. But then Bianca Belair hit Sonya, who flew into Mandy. All of them fall. Both of them are eliminated. Naomi, when her music hit, the crowd went wild. They loved her return. What I love the most of it is the fact that she came out with this huge afro, natural hair, all of it flowing like that. I loved it. I can't think of any other black women that have ever been on WWE TV with the afro like that. Maybe someone comes to mind. Maybe there are some I'm not thinking of, but I can't think of any at all. And to me, to be honest, when it comes to the women on the roster, those that stand out and look different, I often kind of get behind. Like the Ruby Rose, not Ruby Rose, excuse me, Ruby Riott. She looks very different. Rhea Ripley, she looks very different. I mean, I'm not a Shotzi Blackheart fan, but she looks different. Bianca Belair looks different. Seeing these women come out there and look different is big to me. Naomi walking out there with that huge afro, pivotal moment in my opinion. I'm glad that she got to do that. She had a pretty solid performance as well. She has one of her elimination spots, but of course she didn't get the win. She got eliminated by Shayna Baszler as well too. So Beth Phoenix comes out, and Beth Phoenix is a G. I mean, I think I said this last time she was in the Rumble, but she's so far ahead of her time back when she was at her prime. I really wish she would be like a full-time member of like the NXT roster or something like that. Obviously, I'm sure she's probably back there giving the women tips and stuff like that, but man, she can still go because she looked fantastic in this match here. There was a moment where she hit her head and split the back of her head open, and by the time she was eliminated, the back of her head was completely red, filled with blood. So I'm not sure how deep the cut was, how bad it was, but her head was cut for at least 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes that she was in there. So I'm hoping she's okay. I'm hoping she didn't lose too much blood. Obviously she didn't, but I mean, continues to excel. Beth Phoenix is she's always been one of my favorite women in the WWE, but she looked great in there today. Toni Storm was out there as well. Charlotte, I can't remember what number Charlotte came out up, but she eliminated Bianca Belair. She was in there for 30 minutes. As I said, she had 8 eliminations. That's a feud I want to see more of in the future because Bianca Belair, she's over. The crowd loved her. She looks like she belonged, and she hung in there with everyone. Her selling is amazing. Every time someone lands a little bit of offense on her, it looks like it kills her. She did an exceptional job tonight, and I'm very proud with what I saw from Bianca Belair. I hope we get to see some type of title run for her sometime in the future. I'm pretty sure we will, but man, she looked um, fantastic tonight. Kelly was there. It's like, okay. But if you think that's a bad spot, Santina Morella, which was a Santino character from back in the day when he was cross-dressing, he was out there. And yeah, people were like, what, like, of all the things they could have done, this is what we see here. Sasha Banks was not on the show at all, not even for the Bayley match, which was after this. She wasn't in the Rumble, so people are trying to figure out what exactly happened there. But there's so many other women they could have put in this position here that they just left off the showcase for Santina. Okay, it is what it is. Let's see what else happened. Shayna Baszler comes out as number 30. Another big pop. I think she looked very good. She eliminated 8 women as well. They did like a callback to the spot from NXT last week where we got the Battle Royal where Shotzi Blackheart eliminated Shayna Baszler, but this time Shayna turned the tables on Shotzi and eliminated her, which I thought was pretty good. It was a nice little black callback there. And I also, speaking of Shotzi, there was talk on Twitter about how Shotzi's spot was supposed to be for Io. And I hope that this isn't continuing the story about Io being upset and potentially leaving the WWE. I hope not. I love Io Shirai. I hope that she stays, but we'll see what happens in the future with her too as well. So it ends up being Shayna versus Charlotte at the end. Charlotte gets the win, and people are not too happy about that. I understand why people are not too excited about Charlotte once again being in the title picture at WrestleMania. She's their biggest star through and through. I hate to say that as much as I love Sasha Banks. Charlotte is their biggest star. She remains healthy. She can get out there and she can perform with anyone in the ring. She's the full package, period. She's the full package from start to finish. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with her. I hope we don't get Becky and Charlotte again. What I would like to see is her challenge Rhea Ripley. I'm going to write about that this week. Basically on the stance that she's calling out Rhea Ripley, saying that, NXT is hers or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe add some cachet and some value to that space and maybe create like an interesting feud that can be built around for Mania and going forward because I think that no that we don't want to see any more of Rhea Ripley, excuse me, of we don't want to see any more of Rhea Ripley and Dennis. I keep saying the same thing of Charlotte and Becky. We don't want to see that anymore. So it'll be interesting to see how they keep her relevant for Mania season, but don't give us that again. After Charlotte wins the Rumble, we get Bayley and Lacey Evans. So again, I feel sorry for Bayley because I just don't know where she fits anymore. I just don't know where she fits. People were not here for this match. And it's interesting because the same reaction I had, and I feel like people had to these matches, are the same that people have when Lacey Evans was thrust into the Becky Lynch storyline, where it's like, no, I don't think people care about it. I personally don't care about Lacey Evans. Her character is built off of a Southern Belle plantation gimmick, which I will never root for. I don't care how many times you tell me she was in the Marines or you show her daughter on TV. I'm not going to get behind that. And Lacey is not good in the ring, in my opinion. Her women's right looks fantastic. I'll give you that. But what else is she good at? I haven't seen anything else. There was a bunch of sloppy spots in this match where I just don't think she is good or relevant in any way, shape, or form. I think majority of the rest of the women's roster wrestle circles around her. I get why they like her because she has that look that management in WWE likes. But I really don't care what they do with Lacey Evans. Evans, they'll never get me to root for her. Period. They will never and ever get me to root for her. I don't care. Like, no, her Twitter game is horrendous. Those videos she's posting about making sure her husband is fed and et cetera, et cetera. Like, no, like we're not doing this. Not in 2020. I'm not just not a fan of her. She needs to go somewhere. But I really thought that they were going to have her beat Bayley here because you know that they want to get a title on her at some point in time. Michael Cole made it a point to say it twice after the match that she's going to be a future champion. Of course, we know that. But they made it a point to put her over in that regard, even though she lost. At some point in time, they're taking that belt off of Bayley and putting it on Lacey. I wouldn't be surprised if they did it on a SmackDown in the next 2 weeks. But it was still, I want to say probably the bigger piece of that, it was odd that Sasha wasn't there. Sean Ross Sapp is posting that he has some news about that, I think, on Fightful Select. So give him a subscription and go over there and check it out if that's what he really had up. But yeah, I'm interested in learning more about that. I'm gonna go check that out too as well because I want to know why Sasha wasn't on this event at all. The next match up was The Fiend versus Daniel Bryan, and this match was once again another testament to Daniel Bryan, the way he can get a crowd into his matches because it was much wasn't there for me. I wasn't really paying as much attention to this as I have to other matches in recent months. The Fiend is still, I don't want to say The Fiend is over still because he is, but that character has lost some luster. To me, it just feels too fake. If that makes sense, it just feels too overbooked. At least I got rid of the red lights when he wrestles because I guess people complained about that enough. But it's something that's off about the way he's been booked ever since that match with Seth Rollins. I hate to say that they have killed that character the way so many other people are saying, but it's just not as enjoyable for me as he once was back then. But Daniel Bryan, man, he continues to look good, and everything he does, like he almost can't do no wrong in the ring and getting a crowd behind him as a babyface. And I saw some people talking about the Yes Movement is back, and that fans are going to revolt and kind of elevate him back to the title picture again. I don't know if we're at that point like we were years ago, but Daniel Bryan will forever be one of the top stars, and he'll forever be someone that fans will always get behind. The dude knows how to get the job done, and I am definitely a big fan of his. But this match, wasn't anything to write home about, in my opinion. So that brings us to a co-main event where we have Asuka and Bayley, goodness, Asuka and Becky Lynch for the women's title. And this was a good match. We knew, everyone kind of knew going into this that the outcome of this match was going to be Becky Lynch getting her win back, and she did via submission. But these two ladies put on a great match. It was hard hitting. It was they told the story very well. They gave us some interesting looks at some spots we've seen in the past between the two ladies, just in some different styles. I liked the disarmer that Becky Lynch did while Asuka was in the ropes early in the match. I was a fan of that. Kairi Sane is always, she cracks me up when she's on the outside. I just love her heel character. But this was a good match. I enjoyed it. Definitely my second favorite match, third favorite match. After the two Rumbles. So it was a good co-main event. I think it got people hyped up for the main event of the evening, which was the men's Rumble. But man, this men's Rumble, whoo boy, it left me feeling some type of way, and I want to talk about that now. So I tweeted out before the men's rumble started that this is a very interesting match, and it can go a couple of different ways. And unfortunately, it went in a way I was kind of anticipating, but not totally anticipating. And I'm not gonna lie, my feelings are kind of hurt coming out of the rumble. So let's talk about this men's rumble, okay? Brock comes in at number one, and you knew he was going to go on a rampage and toss out a whole bunch of people. So he threw out 13 people in the Rumble. Elias, Eric Rowan, Robert Roode, John Morrison, Kofi Kingston, Rey Mysterio, Big E, Cesaro, Shelton Benjamin, Shinsuke Nakamura, MVP, Keith Lee, and Braun Strowman. So Elias was funny. He comes out singing a song berating Brock, and Brock ends up running out of the ring, almost falls and kills himself, chases down Elias, hits him over the back with his guitar, which wasn't gimmicked because it didn't break, and then tosses him out. Eric Rowan jobbed out. Robert Roode tossed out John Morrison, who just returned 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, got hosed over the top rope. Now comes Kofi. Kofi's the first one to survive to the next guy who comes out, and there's a huge pop when his music hit. Huge! Then it's Rey Mysterio. They start teaming up on him, doing some good work. Then comes out Big E. So you're like, okay, things are going to get interesting. They get in the ring together, they jump them, they hit a Trouble in Paradise, a big ending, and I think it's 619, but that's it. Rock tosses out Ray, tosses out Big E, and tosses out Kofi. Like it was nothing. Cesaro comes in, he hits one knee, clothesline, he's out. Shelton Benjamin comes in, and you get a moment where you're like, okay, this is going to be pretty. Let's see what happens, because they team together, they're roommates in Minnesota, where they wrestled together. They were OVW Tag Team Champions together. Paul Heyman made it seem like they were proud to see Shelton. They act like they were going to team up for a second, and he's tossed. Shinsuke Nakamura, he gets tossed. MVP, he comes out, and it's like, what the hell is he doing here? He gets tossed. Keith Lee, massive pop. And this is coming from one person who was not hyped about Keith Lee when he first signed with NXT. Huge, this guy is over. Comes out there, big, massive dude. Him and Brock do the big man wrestling for a few moments. Shoulder blocks, clotheslines, etc., etc. Braun Strowman comes out. Brock eliminates both of these guys while they're standing next to the ropes, punching each other. Like it's nothing. Ricochet comes out. You're like, alright. For some reason I thought, are they going to have Ricochet be the guy who eliminates Brock Lesnar? Nope, he starts getting tossed around. Then we have Drew McIntyre. And something just felt special right here. Something felt right about this moment. And I had actually wrote about this because Drew was one of the 5 guys I thought was going to toss over Brock. But we get this moment, and the crowd was hyped for it. They knew something was coming. I will say they set it up well. Because Ricochet kicks Brock in the nuts. Payback for what happened on Monday. And Drew hits the best Claymore kick he's ever hit, knocking Brock over the top rope and eliminating him. That sets up a whole lot of things there. Brock's laid out, takes about 3 or 4 minutes to get back to the back. The crowd is losing their shit. Then we get the second part of the Rumble. The Miz comes out, Claymore kick, he's out. AJ Styles comes out. Now we're starting getting more of a full ring. AJ Styles comes out, Dolph Ziggler comes out, Now something else happened too. I want to say before I start talking about Carl Anderson. So Bobby Lashley and Rusev was supposed to be in this match, but they were both pulled over supposedly getting into a fight backstage. They were called not medically cleared. So they were out of the event. So Carl Anderson comes out. Then we get the biggest moment I can say we've seen on WWE TV since probably Daniel Bryan's return. We get Edge. His music hits. The crowd goes absolutely insane. Edge's facial expression when he walks through the smoke of, oh my God, I'm back, I got goosebumps. I'm not going to say I teared up, but I got goosebumps. The smoke, the pyro, everything. After this, I'm probably going to find that video just to watch it again. I already saw it on Instagram, and it's just like, wow, I think that's a video I want to have for myself. Edge makes his return. Then we get Baron Corbin, case, whatever. Matt Riddle, another decent pop. Only two NXT guys, him and Keith Lee, in this match. But Matt Riddle gets eliminated in like 2 minutes by Baron Corbin. Why? Supposedly Riddle and Lesnar got into a verbal altercation backstage. I wonder if this has something to do with that. But Riddle gets eliminated in like 2 minutes. I'm like, no one cared. They could have used Matt Riddle so much better. They could have used so many other people in this spot. But whatever. Luke Gallows comes out, Randy Orton. Then we get Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, Aleister Black, Samoa Joe, and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins comes out with AOP and Buddy Murphy until I thought for a second there, I'm like, all four of them are going to get in the ring and they're going to beat the shit out of everybody. But they start picking people off one by one. Seth eliminates Kevin Owens. He eliminates Aleister Black and Samoa Joe. But Kevin Owens, Aleister Black, and Samoa Joe start brawling with AOP and Buddy Murphy. So they're away from the ring. So then that leaves um, who is it? So that leaves Edge, Seth, Drew, Roman, and Randy Orton in the ring together. Um, Seth is tossed out by Drew McIntyre. Edge and Randy Orton start working together. Edge tosses out Randy Orton. Then Roman tosses out Edge, and then Drew cleans up Roman to get the win. Now, let's talk about the good first. Drew McIntyre has been on a rocket this last month, maybe, and it's good to see him get this push. It's fantastic to see him get this moment and to just be elevated in a way that was probably preordained almost a decade ago when he left the WWE. I don't know, it wasn't 10 years ago, but it certainly was a long time ago when he left the WWE. See him come back, reinvent himself, look fantastic, and just continue to overcome. Because even when he first got to the main roster, the WWE was prepared to botch how they were using him. They weren't using him correctly. They had him kept losing to Drew McIntyre. They just had him keep losing to Roman Reigns. They wouldn't put him over. They did that now. And dude, he looks the part. He sounds the part. The crowd is so into him. Everything he's been touching lately has been gold, and we know he can go in the ring. So he gets that monumental push, and I'm here for that. All day, every day. But the aspect of this match I did not like is the way it started. And I noticed this immediately. 7 of the 13 people Brock Lesnar eliminated in moments were people of color. Why does that bother me? Because the WWE consistently uses the people on their roster, people of color on their roster, at least the men, to make them look like chumps. The women of color, they treat a little bit differently. They don't elevate them to the top spot, which is why Sasha still hasn't gotten her opportunity to run with the belt. We can hope Bianca does. We can hope Naomi gets another one. But the way they treated the men and the black men, in my opinion, or men of color, in this Rumble was absolute tomfoolery to me. If you look at what happened after Brock was eliminated, everybody but everybody on in this group is white except for Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns, 2 Samoans. Everybody after that, except for Roman and Samoa Joe. So what do you do with that? What do you do with that? It's very clear as they. Maybe I'm overlooking something. Maybe I'm looking too in depth into this, but it's almost as if they were sent out there to be clowned. There's no other way of. I mean, like they were treated as being expendable, and that's exactly what I took from the way they were booked against Brock Lesnar. It's unfortunate, but that's exactly what we got to see here, and I have a problem with that. I'm probably gonna write about that this week, but I have a clear problem with that because it just does not come off well to me. It shouldn't come off well to anybody watching, but I know people are not going to see it until it's pointed out to them. But this did not bode well for me watching the show. I almost stopped watching, to be honest. Like there was a moment where I was like, I can't watch this crap. So that's what bothered me the most out of this Rumble. I think it was a good Rumble. I'll probably watch it again, but this did not. Just the way that the black wrestlers on this roster were treated, the black male roster, excuse me, the black male wrestlers on the roster were treated just did not sit well with me at all. Like this, 8 of the first 15 people in the men's Royal Rumble were people of color. 2 of the last 15 were people of color. So that stands out to me as being an issue. But I'm gonna cover it this week. Let's see if anyone else is talking about that. But that was a huge problem to me, and I did not. Um, I wasn't here for that. We got Edge's return. We got Matt Riddle. We got a lot of good things in this Rumble, but that just didn't sit well with me. And it's going to be how I remember it. I'm going to remember that the women stole the show, but that was just a moment that I'm just not here for, and it's gonna really jade how I saw this match. Um, I was going to talk about NXT Worlds Collide, but I'm not going to hit on that too much. Only thing I wanted to talk about today was Kobe Bryant, and you may say, well, this isn't wrestling. Of course, it's not wrestling, but Kobe Bryant passed away today. He died in a helicopter crash. He and his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and along with 7 other people, died in the crash today. And yeah, the sports world is pretty shaken up by that. WWE did a tribute to him, I think, before the Women's Rumble. And I mean, yeah, this was just, I didn't almost believe it at first. I was napping. I woke up and I saw some messages from my brother saying that he died. And I was, it's, yeah, it's one of those moments, man. I was dealing with something like this last year when a friend of mine passed away suddenly around the same time last year. And life is just fleeting, man. You gotta tell people that you love them while you still got them around to tell them. And the NBA world is, kind of agonizing over this. The entertainment world is agonizing over this because everyone knew Kobe Bryant. So, rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace to Gianna Bryant. Again, if you have someone in your life, tell them you love them. Tell your family that you love them. If you're mad at anybody, make up. Just make up with them because you never know if you have the opportunity to do it again. So again, just rest in peace to Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace to Gianna Bryant, and just tell the people around you that you love them. So I'm gonna go ahead and close out today's show. As I said, this is Raphael Garcia here for episode 43 of the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. Again, you can catch me on Instagram and Twitter at rgarcia_sports. You can catch this show on MMA Ratings Net on Instagram and Twitter. MMA Ratings, our YouTube channel, and MMAratings.net, which is where you can go to catch all of our content in the MMA space, where you can rate the fights and tell us how excited and how much you anticipate them. As always, thank you for taking the time to check us out. Have a great week, everyone, and again, rest in peace, Kobe Bryant.